Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new episode of Rethink Life. So this episode, we are talking about seeing is up to me. See, the attempt to confine the Christ, the great truth of individual divinity, historically to the magic of the past, robs the now of its Christ. The self-conscious living of the God idea as one's self does not make one rise from a grave nor ascend above one. Crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension were not happenings in the sense we regard happenings. The one divine event, the divinity of humanity, was the happening seen in the only way it could be seen in that period of history. So this means that this means that the good, capital G, that I live subjectively, insightfully as mind, is the good that I see objectively as other. In fact, my eye is blind to any good that I am not living self-consciously, insightfully as myself. As long as evil is regarded as present, it can't be conceived or imagined as merely absent. When the conscious human individuality lives the God idea self-consciously as mind, the belief that the human race exists materially, including the myriad of aspects of such theory, is set aside. So there's no possible way of demonstrating self-wholeness, self-dependence, self-responsibility, self-government outside of living my other, God and man, self-consciously as mind, myself. Togetherness, unity, agreement are not oneness. Only one can be free and equal. And all of that is taken from Margaret Laird's book, Government is Self-Government, on pages 107 and 108. Welcome, Betty. How are you today?
Fine, thanks.
Excellent. What else would you like to say as an introduction to the topic? Seeing is up to me.
Well, I guess I'll say it as we go along.
Okay.
There's difference between seeing and looking.
Right. Okay.
Looking
say more
is
about
sort of gazing at the appearance of things.
Okay.
Seeing is understanding where I am and what's going on.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. And for those of you that are engaging or watching, please feel free to post a comment, ask questions. We will get back to you. So please feel free to do that. And we'll bring it in if we're live. Okay. So let's dive in. In Government is Self-Government on page 108, Margaret Laird wrote, "In living, we are dying, and in dying, we are living."
Yep.
What did she mean by that, Mom?
Well, actually, when you're living, it's moving. It's a flow. And so there's always a dying going on right behind where you are, as you move ahead, the old is gone.
Yeah.
So you're moving into the living, and what you're leaving behind is what we call the dying.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're always right now present. It's just the right now.
Right.
There is
the only thing we've got is now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I could get that. And for more discussion, the life principle functions as the ceaseless birthing of ideas and the dying of outworn and valueless concepts.
Yep.
So we just keep moving on, letting things go.
Yep.
New things show up.
And the ceaseless birthing is life, the God idea life functioning.
Yeah.
And as it functions, you have the dying off, the old is left, it fades away because it's not anything in the language. Mm-hmm. And the reality is functioning by moving on.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Okay. Now on Science and Health, page 405, starting on line 17, Mary Baker Eddy wrote, "Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap."
Yep. That's it. What we see is what we be.
Right. Yeah, that's what Go ahead. What were you going to say? As a man,
As a man soweth, that shall he also reap. What you're seeing is what you're being.
right?
So what I'm being is what I'm seeing. It's what I'm
Yeah.
reaping. Yep.
I always say what you put out there comes back. That was the way I say it.
Okay.
All right. And this is sin's necessity to destroy itself.
Mm-hmm.
Say more about that. Is it because it's
Well, sin is the belief in two things going on.
okay?
It's a duality.
Right.
So its necessity is to destroy itself.
Yeah. Got
And
it.
it self-destructs because it isn't a fact.
Right.
It's like a supposition that doesn't prove out.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like goodbye to it all the time.
Right. So it's always this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment.
Well, and it's the honoring of one presence. I am the world I walk through.
Right. So there's that acknowledgement, that understanding.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And in Mind is the Athlete on page 33 in your book, you wrote, living consciously is like a continuous walking on.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're always we're just always in action, always moving. Things are never static.
And when we say we, that's like assuming regarding the functioning of the God idea, because nothing lives, moves, or has being but the God idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as the presence that we call man, which is the God idea in action, as that is in action, we find ourselves living and moving and doing and so on. But
Right.
it's always, what I should say is it's never personal. It's always an idea in action,
Mm-hmm.
looking like us doing stuff.
Right. In all of the infinite variety in which it gets done.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The quest is eternal. The rewards in human living are indescribably satisfying.
Yep.
And that's when I can allow it to just move forward. I can allow, and I don't resist it and fuss with it. And right.
Yeah. If I'm living the presence of the fact, I'm always moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And my opinion about that might not be that way, but that in fact is what's going on. Because there is never a retrograde step, says Mrs. Eddy. You can't go backwards. So you're always moving. And it's not you moving, but it's the appearance of motion because the God idea functioning as you is moving. And that motion is man.
Mm-hmm.
That animation, that liveliness.
Right. Okay. Very good. In Government is Self-Government on page 108, Margaret Laird wrote, life is forever creating itself through the challenge of daily living.
Mm-hmm.
And through such challenge does the spirit grow. Remember, the demand is always to bear witness to the operation of principle in daily affairs.
Mm-hmm.
So the demand is always to acknowledge the facts. Is that
right? And when you bear witness, you are acknowledging. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Just another way of saying it.
All right, cool. In Science and Health on page 427, starting on line 13, Mary Baker Eddy wrote, death is but another phase of the dream that existence can be material. Excuse me. So death is but another phase of the dream that existence can be material.
Yeah, that the way it looks in language is the way it is. Mm-hmm. Whereas all is infinite mind, and it has no existence in language at all.
Right.
Language is a point of view. Language is, I kind of think about things, suffer it to be so now. Language is the best view I've got right now of divine perfection functioning.
Mm-hmm.
And the study of science lets me know that the functioning itself is the God idea in action, is man being.
Right.
So you literally don't make any move that isn't the God idea in action.
Mm-hmm.
Because without the God idea, you have no substance, no existence. The view doesn't do a thing.
Right.
It's what's present that has the view occur.
Right.
That's the power.
Okay. Nothing can interfere with the harmony of being nor end the existence of man in science.
Yeah. So science teaches that life is eternal.
Yep.
And it's not the span of years in the language world that we're talking about. It's the ever presence of the God idea expressing itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that expression is man.
Right. Okay. And in your book, Mind is the Athlete, you wrote, willingness shifts the individual's experience from one of victim to one of diminishing chaos.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting word, willingness.
Right.
There's a corollary to that is if you're not willing, then you know what's happening?
If you're not willing, you're resisting in one form or another.
Right. And what
Things
happens when you resist?
Things are persist.
Yeah.
You lock things into place.
Yeah. The current scene persists and persists and persists. And you feel like chaos. You feel like nothing's moving. You feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Nothing's happening. Everything is going to hell in a handbasket. That
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's called resistance.
Okay.
So really, it's another avenue or path or something to discovering that you manage the world you walk through because you
Right.
make it as you go.
Right.
And when it's chaotic, guess what? I'm believing the language is doing something with me or for me or as me.
But it says willingness shifts the individual's experience from one of victim to one of diminishing chaos.
Yeah.
So that doesn't sound like too big of a shift. It's like, okay, you go from victim to diminishing chaos.
No, if you're looking at problems, chaotic or whatever, you're looking at the picture as if it had capacity to be better.
Right.
Instead of recognizing the fact that it doesn't exist. It's a point of view of a reality that is perfect.
Right. Right. So it shifts. So willingness shifts your view from experience of one of victim to one of diminishing chaos.
Yeah. Right
Okay.
on.
All right. Clear as mud. Okay. In Government is Self-Government on page 108, Margaret Laird wrote, my own self-conscious identity is all there is.
Yeah, say that one again.
My own self-conscious identity is all there is.
Go ahead with the note.
I learned from myself, my own divinity, that I am all that I could want.
Yep. And sometimes that learning is not comfortable.
Right.
And what is it looking for when the discomfort shows up?
Problems,
No.
challenges. When the discomfort shows up?
Mm-hmm. What's it looking for?
Looking for willingness and acknowledgement of
right
the fact.
on. That's the indication that willingness has to be present.
Right.
Without that, you don't move on. You're stuck.
Right. Right. So if I'm faced with a problem or a challenge or whatever, then look at where I'm not willing. Look at where I'm not willing to acknowledge the facts.
You don't even have to look. You're there.
Right. Right. But then I can identify it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In Science and Health, hang on.
What are you reading?
Well, I didn't copy it to that. It's a different quote. I was just kind of trying to figure it out. All right. So on Science and Health on page 427, line 30, Mary Baker Eddy wrote, "Thought will awaken from its own material declaration, I am dead, to catch the trumpet word of truth."
I don't see that.
Thought will
427:13.
427:30.
Oh, 13. Oh, you're down at the bottom. I'm sorry. I missed.
We already did that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I just lost my place.
Got it. So thought will awaken. Thought will awaken from its own material declaration, I am dead, to catch the trumpet word of truth.
Yeah. The thing is, we theorize and have this fact in front of us in print and in science that there isn't any death. But human beings seem to deal with the idea present for themselves that this stepping forward leaves behind something. And what it leaves behind is dead, no more life present.
Right.
And actually, what that is kind of like a memory. It's kind of like I thought, well, nope, not there, is it?
Okay.
When we look at it as if we need to do something about it.
Right.
And there isn't anything to do about it. There isn't anything to be done about, because what's present is reality. And the view I have says, well, then this picture has to go.
Right.
The language view has to go, because reality is present, and I'm only seeing it partially. What I'm seeing is something's present. I'm here. I know something's present, but my view of it is very limited.
Yep.
And in giving that limited view up, sometimes it looks like a shakeup. Quite often, the willingness is what moves that forward so that you walk on.
Yep. Yeah.
So willing to have the science be true, willing to, when I say all is infinite mind, willing to say, yeah, that's the way I exist right now. It's all mental right this minute, despite the look. The look of Betty being there saying something is a point of view. The reality present is all is well, perfection present.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yep. There is no death, no inaction, diseased action, overaction, or reaction.
Yep.
Say more about that.
Well, God being is perfection expressed. And that's the man.
Okay.
God being is the man. God in action is man.
Got it. So there is no death, there's no inaction, there's no diseased action, there's no overaction, nor is there any reaction.
No, it's a point of view.
Okay. So all there is creation.
It's being. Being itself being.
Self-being, showing up, and that's it.
Yeah. And creation is like bringing something forth, but that's not even a true statement.
Right.
It's being itself being.
So that if it's death, inaction, disease, action, whatever, that's just an opinion of the picture.
That's the language view.
Right. But that would just be
when you think it's something that exists separate from your mind, from your consciousness.
Got it. Okay. All right. And in Mind is the Athlete, on page 19 and 20, you wrote, believing you're a lump of stuff with limited intelligence, you live as a victim of your beliefs.
Yeah.
Is that because we hold on to them? and we trot them out and say, see, here's this, la la la.
No, it's because you're unconsciously living it as if this is real. I've got to get to work. I've got to do this. I've got to pay the rent. I've got to get food on the table. I've got to do this.
Well, there are things you got to do.
Yeah, it's your doing stuff. And man is not a doer. But we don't believe that. We rush around smartly all the time.
I know, but there's things that, see, okay, here's where I think it gets a little funky, because I think there's things we do, sure. But I always remember before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The actions and the doing may look identical, but when you're consciously aware, you're not a victim of your beliefs.
Well, you don't have the belief. You're just not being a victim.
But you're doing whatever you do.
Yeah.
It'll still look like that.
Right. And you you have a degree of not believing it that allows you the freedom to walk on.
Got it. Okay. All right. And you box yourself into some qualities and out of others, and your experience of life is unfulfilling and unsatisfying.
Yeah,
and that's
when you believe
you're a lump of stuff. I got it. Okay. So you box your, if you believe that, if I believe that this is all there is to me right here, then I box myself into some qualities out of others, and my experience in life is unfulfilling and satisfying. Maybe there might be momentary satisfying things.
Well, apparently that's the way we look at it.
Yeah.
That's our human experience.
Right. If I believe I'm a lump of stuff.
And the minute I figure out that I'm really not a lump of stuff at all, the next thing I know, I say, Betty, it's time for you to get dinner on the table.
Right.
And there I am.
Right. But you can walk right through that, being very clear about who you are.
Well, the reality that's present is so powerful that even perception in a small degree, a glimpse of that, and you think, oh, well, okay, let's go.
Right.
It isn't cumbersome. It's reality is the presence that has us be.
Right.
So even a tiny, tiny glimpse wipes out anything that argues with that.
Right.
It's just like, oh, okay.
Right. Right.
There's a freedom there, even in the present experience of living.
Right. I could get that. We do have a comment. Says Laird taught me to remove the from things.
Yeah.
It took a while. We're not a believer. We're not a doer. We're not a
modder or a fixer or a maker or creator or you name it. All we are.
Just being itself being.
Yes, and it isn't originating with the thing you see in the mirror.
Right.
It's a presence. It's a perfection presencing that doesn't have anything to do with the mirror.
No, but it's the source and condition of whatever you see in the mirror. It's
the source and condition whether I'm looking in the mirror or not.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't matter if you're looking in the mirror or not, but if you are, it's the source and condition, the ground of being for everything.
That's right.
It seems to exist.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. Right on.
All right. Well, very good. Anything else you want to say about this subject? Seeing is up to me. Wrap it up in a nice little bow.
Yeah. Looking and seeing are distinct events in your experience. I can look and see very little. I can see and understand a great deal. Mm-hmm. And it's up to me whether I look or whether I see. And looking is the experience you have when you're rushing around and somebody says, did you see that brown car? What brown car? That's looking.
Right.
Did you see Sally go by? Sally? No, I didn't see Sally. That's looking. So seeing is being present to the fact of what's going on, looking like the world I walk through.
Yeah.
Looking is dealing with the language appearance. Seeing is understanding that it's a view of a reality present that's perfect right now.
Right.
And seeing is the understanding that I'm not a two-legged animal that has to figure it out.
Right.
This may be the way it looks. It's not the way it is.
Right. Now, in the live cast that we just had this past Saturday, you drew a really cool. We were talking about substance and understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and understand, substance,
Mm-hmm.
understanding and substance is. So, say a little bit about that, because it was a very cool parallel that you drew.
Yeah, that was something my mother taught me when I was quite young.
Yeah.
She just divided the word substance, understand. And so she says, your understanding is what gives you the world you walk through. And that's the substance of my life. I am the world I walk through.
Yeah.
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 And when I see that, I don't have any concerns about it. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to heal it. I don't have to deal with anything. I leave it alone and keep walking on.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. And that is, seeing is up to me.
It's right.
Yeah, very good. All right. That's all we have for today. So thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next week, next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central. And until then, seeing is up to me. What are you seeing? Just ponder that for a bit, and we'll see you then.